Ever feel like we're kind of stuck? You know, like
The-
humanity's just dipped our toes in the solar system, but the real expanse, other stars, other worlds, it's like this locked door we can't get through.
I get what you mean.
Yeah. Well, today, we're picking that lock. We're doing a deep dive into whether interstellar travel is even possible.
Sounds ambitious.
Oh, it is. We're using this article called The Science of Interstellar Travel. Could it become reality? And let me tell you, it's not as simple as building a bigger rocket.
You're telling me, even getting to Proxima Centauri, that's our nearest star neighbor, it's 4.24 light years away.
That's close.
Relatively speaking, in space terms, yeah. But even with Voyager 1, our fastest spacecraft, it would still take over 73,000 years to get there.
Wow. Okay, so 73,000 years. I'm all for long-term planning, but that's, well, a bit much. So why even bother? Is this all just like sci-fi fantasy?
Not at all. There are some really good reasons to be thinking about interstellar travel.
Like what?
Well, practically speaking, it's about survival. Long-term survival for humanity. Think about it. Earth is vulnerable, right? Asteroids, solar flares, even our own climate issues.
Makes sense. Gotta have a backup plan.
Exactly. Becoming an interstellar species, that's like a cosmic insurance policy.
Okay, I can see that, spreading the risk. But there's got to be more to it than just, not going extinct.
Of course, we humans, we're curious, right? It's in our nature. And interstellar travel, that's the ultimate frontier. We could answer some big questions.
Look like,
Are we alone? Is there other life out there? What other incredible things are waiting for us in space? It's mind-blowing.
it's like the ultimate road trip. But, okay, let's be real for a sec. Even if we really want to do this, those distances are just insane. Our regular rockets, they're like trying to cross an ocean in a bathtub.
Pretty much.
So what do we need? What kind of crazy tech would it take to even make this remotely possible?
Yeah, chemical rockets, they just won't cut it. We need something totally different, something revolutionary, and that's where things get exciting. One idea is light sails. Imagine a giant mirror, super thin, pushed by sunlight or lasers.
Like a cosmic sailboat.
Exactly. And the cool part is, it's not just a theory anymore. There's this project called Breakthrough Starshot. They want to send these tiny probes attached to light sails to Alpha Centauri.
So, like, how fast are we talking?
They're hoping for 20% the speed of light. That means data back within a human lifetime.
20% the speed of light. Wait, so a trip that takes, what, like 20 years to get there? That's insane. But hold on, wouldn't going that fast be, like, dangerous? What about space dust? Even a tiny speck would hit with crazy force.
You're right, that's a huge challenge protecting those probes and then slowing down when they get there to actually study the system. That's tricky too. But the potential payoff, that's huge.
So what kind of data could they send back?
Think about it. New info on planetary systems, maybe even signs of life, it could change everything. Okay, so we've got light sails for speed.
Yeah, what else? What about fusion rockets? Isn't fusion like the ultimate energy source?
Fusion is powerful, yeah.
Yeah.
It's literally what powers the stars. It could give us the energy we need for interstellar travel.
So we're talking about, like, strapping a star to a spaceship.
Not exactly. It's about controlling that reaction here on Earth, then using it for propulsion. We're talking about taming a star in a bottle.
That sounds a little, well, risky. I mean, controlling a star, what could go wrong, right?
Safety is obviously the top priority, but the potential, it's just enormous. Fusion is nearly limitless energy, and it's mostly clean, just helium as a byproduct. The tough part is getting that sustained reaction, holding the super hot plasma, and turning that energy into thrust efficiently.
So, starship powered by a mini sun, not exactly a walk in the park.
Not quite yet, no.
Okay, so what about other out there ideas? I've heard of antimatter. Is that even remotely possible?
Antimatter is fascinating, you're right. Theoretically, it's the most energy-dense fuel we know.
How energy dense are we talking?
A single gram of antimatter, that's as much energy as a nuke. The issue is making it and storing it is crazy hard and expensive.
And dangerous, I bet.
Oh yeah, containment is a big problem. If antimatter touches regular matter, boom, total annihilation, all that energy released instantly.
Yeah, no thanks. Sounds like a recipe for disaster.
So light sails, fusion, antimatter, all pretty wild, right?
Yeah. But what about the stuff we see in movies, like warp drives and wormholes? Are those even a possibility?
Well, warp drives and wormholes, they come from theoretical physics, yeah, but they're super speculative. To get them to work, we'd need to understand space and time and gravity in ways we just don't right now. Warp drives, for example, they'd require warping space-time itself, so a ship could basically shortcut through the universe, going faster than light,
So we're talking about bending the universe to our will.
basically. And wormholes, those are like theoretical tunnels through space-time. Imagine walking through a door and bam, you're in another galaxy. But we'd have to manipulate reality itself, way beyond anything we can do right now.
It sounds like we're missing a few key ingredients.
A few. We're missing the whole cookbook.
So what are our more realistic options? Do we just wait for a scientific miracle?
Not necessarily. There's another concept, less flashy maybe, but more doable, at least for now. Generational ships. Giant ships, self-sustaining, carrying people for centuries to reach another star.
Wow, generational ships. I've heard of those. That's a lot to process, though. Imagine being born on a ship knowing you'll never set foot on a planet. It's kind of ethically tricky, isn't it? Committing generations to a journey they didn't choose.
Yeah, that's a big question, the ethics of it all. On one hand, it's about survival, passing the torch to the next generation. But you're right, consent, the right to choose, that's huge.
Lots to think about there. But say we do figure out the ethics. What about the practical stuff? Building a generational ship, keeping it running, that's got to be crazy hard, right? Like a mini Earth in space.
It's a massive challenge. You need closed systems for food, water, air. Then there's radiation shielding, waste recycling, sustainable energy, all within a giant spaceship.
We're basically talking about mastering sustainability, solving problems we haven't even solved here on Earth.
Right. And then there's the social side. Imagine generations living in a closed environment. How do they govern themselves? How do they keep their culture and traditions alive?
Whoa, it's like a social experiment on a cosmic scale. So many things to consider. And, we can't forget about one of the biggest questions of all. What about aliens? How do we even prepare for that? We're talking about something totally unknown.
Right. That's where it gets really interesting and kind of scary. If we run into another intelligent species, how do we make sure we interact respectfully? How do we avoid repeating our mistakes? Where contact between different civilizations leads to, well, not great things.
It's like a first contact scenario, straight out of sci-fi. We need to be ready, not just with tech, but ethically, too.
Exactly. It's not just about avoiding past mistakes. It's about realizing that any alien civilization could be totally different from us. Their values, their beliefs, even how they see the universe.
So we need to be open-minded.
Absolutely. Approaching them with humility, ready to learn, that's key.
Lots to think about. Okay, but before we get too far ahead of ourselves, there's a more basic question. Can our bodies even handle this kind of journey? I mean, we evolved on Earth, not in spaceships, for decades, maybe even centuries.
That's a good point. Our bodies are fragile. Long space trips bring challenges. Microgravity weakens bones and muscles. Cosmic radiation increases cancer risk. Isolation can mess with your mind.
So our bodies are basically saying, nope, not going to space.
Well, not quite. We're not powerless. Scientists are looking at solutions. Artificial gravity to mimic Earth's, advanced shielding to block radiation, virtual reality to help with isolation.
Okay, so we're still figuring it out, but at least we're thinking about it and trying to find solutions. I mean, this all seems so huge, so overwhelming, but there's something so inspiring about trying to achieve interstellar travel.
I agree. Even if it takes centuries, even if we never see it in our lifetime, just striving for that goal, it pushes us forward. It inspires us to innovate, to break our limits, to think about our place in the universe.
It's about the journey, not just the destination, right? And who knows what incredible things we'll discover along the way. I think we've covered a lot. The insane distances, the possible solutions, the ethical stuff, the challenges of keeping humans alive in space. Interstellar travel is super complex, but it feels like we're just getting started.
Yeah, we've only just scratched the surface. Let's dive deeper into these challenges and potential solutions in part 2 of our deep dive. Welcome back. Last time we left off talking about how fragile humans are, for space travel. But there's a cool flip side to that. Trying to solve those problems could actually help us out here on Earth.
Right, like if we can figure out how to live in space, surely we can use that knowledge to, fix things here at home, right?
Exactly. Take artificial gravity, for example. Astronauts in space, their bones and muscles weaken in microgravity. So scientists are thinking, how do we simulate Earth's gravity on a spaceship? One idea is to spin the spacecraft, create centrifugal force, kind of like gravity.
Okay, I'm trying to picture this, like a giant spinning wheel in space, people living on the inside. Wouldn't that be super hard to build?
It would be a huge engineering challenge, getting that spinning habitat big enough, stable, safe, thinking about rotation speed, size, materials. Plus, imagine what living in a constantly rotating environment would do to you.
Yeah, would people even adapt to that? Or would it be like being seasick all the time?
That's a good question. There are so many unknowns. And then there's the radiation issue. We talked about that, how dangerous cosmic rays are for astronauts.
Yeah, we need some serious protection for those long trips.
But we need effective shielding. Some scientists are looking at using water. It's full of hydrogen, which is great at absorbing radiation. So picture this, big water tanks built into the spacecraft.
Interesting. So it'd be a shield and a water source.
Two birds, one stone. It's amazing how space travel forces us to think outside the box. Speaking of which, we talked about the psychological side of things too.
Yeah.
Being stuck in a spaceship for years, even with artificial gravity and all that, it's got to be isolating.
Yeah, it would mess with your head, I think.
That's where tech like virtual reality could come in. Imagine creating these super realistic virtual environments, nature scenes, bustling cities, maybe even connecting with loved ones back on Earth.
Like a little piece of home you bring with you.
Right. A way to escape the confines of the ship, stay connected to what feels normal. But it's not just about recreating Earth. There's also the incredible opportunity to explore, gather data from a whole new star system.
Right. Okay. So what kind of tech would we need for that? What kind of instruments and tools?
We'd need an arsenal of scientific equipment. Powerful telescopes, way better than what we have now, to observe those distant planets and stars. Spectrometers to analyze atmospheres and surfaces, looking for things like water, organic molecules.
And maybe even signs of life, right?
Yeah, exactly. There are things called biosignatures.
Biosignatures, what are those?
They're like chemical clues that could suggest life, past or present. Think about it. Certain gases in a planet's atmosphere, like oxygen or methane, those could be signs of something alive.
Wow, like a cosmic fingerprint.
Kind of. It's pretty incredible. And to explore the surface, we'd need landers and rovers like the ones we've sent to Mars.
Yeah, but wouldn't they need to be way more advanced to handle a whole new planet?
For sure. We'd have to develop tools to analyze samples right there on the planet without bringing them back to Earth.
So like portable labs that can analyze the soil, the rocks, the atmosphere.
Exactly. Mobile research stations, uncovering secrets, all that data beamed back to Earth. It would be revolutionary.
Okay, we've talked about the tech, artificial gravity, shielding, scientific instruments, but let's go back to the social challenges of generational ships for a minute.
Yeah, it's still blowing my mind, the idea of people living their whole lives on a spaceship. It seems so, I don't know, limiting.
It makes you question what home even means,
Yeah.
right? But think about it. Those born on the ship, it would be their normal. They might not feel that same sense of limitation. They'd likely create their own culture, their own traditions.
Like a unique spacefaring society. Right. But that also brings challenges. How do you keep order, prevent conflict when you have generations confined to a limited space?
Yeah, that's a tough one.
That's where good governance comes in. Some folks suggest adapting democracy. Others think more decentralized systems would work better, where communities have more autonomy. There's no easy answer, and it probably needs to evolve over time.
Right, like a constant work in progress.
Exactly. And then there's the question of how you prepare those generations for their destination. A planet they've never seen, a world they only know from stories and simulations.
How do you even begin to do that?
Education is key. Imagine super advanced virtual reality where they can experience that planet, the landscapes, the life, maybe even the dangers. They could learn about settling a new world, build a connection to it, even before they arrive.
Like a virtual preview of their future home.
Yeah, a way to bridge that gap between the ship and the planet. But even with all the prep, actually landing on that new world, that would be a huge moment.
It's a turning point in human history.
For sure. And it would bring new challenges, adapting to the environment, maybe even interacting with alien life.
Speaking of aliens, we got to talk about that. How do we prepare for something we know nothing about? It's exciting and scary all at once.
It really is. We have no clue what alien life would be like, what they'd want, how they'd react to us.
It's like a blank page in the story of humanity. No rules, no guidebook.
It challenges everything we think we know about life, intelligence, our place in the universe.
So how do we even start thinking about guidelines for interacting with something so unknown?
It's hard, no doubt. But we can learn from our past, from how different cultures on Earth interacted. We can also use fields like anthropology and psychology to understand communication, cross-cultural understanding.
So taking lessons from our past and applying them to the unknown.
Right, and realizing that it's not just us studying them, they'd be studying us too. There's so much potential for understanding and discovery, but also for misunderstanding and conflict.
A delicate balance.
For sure. The desire to explore, to learn, but also the responsibility to be cautious and respectful. It's something we have to think carefully about.
Yeah, interstellar travel isn't just about technology, it's about ethics too, making sure our exploration benefits everyone, not just us, but any life we meet out there.
You got it. It's a huge responsibility, one we can't forget. So, as we continue our deep dive, let's keep that in mind. It's not just about getting to the stars, it's about what we do when we get there.
Well said. Now, for the last part of our deep dive, let's look at how the pursuit of interstellar travel, even if it's centuries away, can inspire us and benefit us right here on Earth. Welcome back to our deep dive. We've covered a lot of ground. Interstellar travel is a wild concept, right? From those crazy distances to the tech we'd need, the ethics of it all, even aliens. It makes you think. But here's a question I've been wondering. What does all this have to do with us here on Earth? Is it just a dream, or can it actually help us right now?
That's a great question. And it might be more connected than you'd think. Even if we never reach another star system, just trying to get there, that could spark some amazing things right here, right now.
So it's not just about leaving Earth behind,
Yeah.
but using those space challenges to find solutions for our problems here.
Exactly. Think about the tech we'd need for interstellar travel, life support, energy, recycling, materials that can survive anything. Those are things we need here too, especially with climate change, resource issues, trying to live more sustainably.
It's like what we learned from reaching for the stars can help us take care of our own planet.
Right. And it's not just tech. Interstellar travel makes us think about big stuff like ethics, how we govern ourselves, what life even means. Those questions can change how we understand ourselves, our place in the universe, even if we never leave our solar system.
It's like expanding our minds along with our reach into space.
Exactly. But okay, let's be real. How do we get from these big ideas to actually doing something? Where do we even begin?
Yeah, it all seems so huge. Where do you even start?
It starts with investment. We got to fund the big research, the fundamental stuff. Physics, materials, propulsion, astrobiology. We're going to support the people pushing the limits of what's possible.
So back the dreamers, the scientists, the engineers.
Yeah, given the tools they need to make it happen. And it can't just be governments. We need universities, companies, everyone working together, a global team tackling these huge challenges.
It's like interstellar travel might seem like a solo mission, but it takes all of us.
It does. It's bringing together the best of humanity, our brains, our resources, our creativity. And it's not just scientists. We got to get everyone excited, inspire the next generation of explorers.
So not just textbooks and stuff. We got to make space cool, something that captures people's imaginations.
Exactly. We need stories, art, music, experiences that connect people to space, make it relatable, not just something scientists do far away.
Yeah, remind everyone that we're all part of this cosmic adventure, whether we're actually out there or just looking up at the stars.
Right. And it's about responsibility, too. As we go further, we got to remember we're representing Earth, our whole species. We got to take our values with us.
Yeah.
Peace, cooperation, respect for the unknown.
That's a powerful thought. So as we wrap up our deep dive, it's clear that interstellar travel, it's not just about the destination. It's the journey itself, the pursuit of knowledge, the challenges, the ethical stuff, all of it. It makes us think about who we are.
You said it. It's about that human need to explore, to push beyond what we know, what we think is possible. It's in us, that urge to look at the stars and ask, what's out there?
That's a question that's been around forever, and it'll keep pushing us forward, making us explore, discover, reach for more. And even if we never reach another star in our lifetime, just trying, that can change us, inspire us, make us better caretakers of our planet, our future.
Absolutely. So let's keep looking up, dreaming big, pushing those boundaries. The universe is huge, and who knows what we might find.
Thanks for joining us on this amazing deep dive, everyone. See you next time when we explore something else mind-blowing. Until then, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep reaching for the stars.